Hey everybody, Adam Savage in my cave, and well, I'm here today to do just a little bit of the wrapping up of 2024, specifically regarding my favorite tools of the year. Obviously, I am a tool fanatic. I am never not looking for new tools. Every time I visit someone else's shop or watch someone else's channel is an opportunity to find out about a tool I didn't know about. And this is my opportunity to tell you about some tools you might not know about. We're going to start off on the hot end of the spectrum with a heat generating device by Burns-O-Matic. Burns-O-Matic, makers of all sorts of propane and other flammable gas burners, torches, flames. This one with MAP gas, which burns slightly hotter than propane, is a spectacular little bench tool. I really like the fact that I can tune the flame, I can turn it on and leave it on, and then as soon as I'm done, brazing what I'm doing, pop that back. It's got a little shielded metal core there so you don't melt the plastic base. This has just become a super clutch tool for all of my brazing, soldering, silver soldering, etc. assembly. I love this tool. And look, for jewelry stuff, nothing is going to beat a nice little tiny oxyacetylene torch, and I've got one attached to my oxy rig, but frankly, the oxy rig feels like too big for most of my one-day builds or for a lot of my smaller projects. This absolutely satisfies the need that I have. When I need much more precise hot heat in a specific location, that's when I'll go get that torch, but this does pretty damn well. I was just using it today to great effect. All right, the Burns-O-Matic MAP Pro Premium Torch Fuel Base. I love this thing. Okay. Oh, right. We're going to include links to all of these in the description. Every now and then, I just go on and search for what new DeWalt tools there are. Now, at this point, all the battery tool systems are pretty similar. Your DeWalt, your Makita, your Milwaukee, your Ryobi, etc. Whichever system you have, I recommend every now and then just searching that system with the battery type you have and seeing what new thing they're selling. Because this year I picked up a cordless router. Dude, okay. The thing to know about me is that I freaking hate routers. They're terrifying. Everything about a table saw, exposed blade, easy to get in trouble with it, is like ×3 with the router, because it's this tool with the spinning death part and you've got to manage it. I don't love routers. They are a necessary evil. And frankly, one of the most difficult parts of a router, I find, is the cord. It's moving the router around its own cord. This is just a little baby DeWalt trim router. I've got a standard 1/4-inch roundover bit on here, and it's just like, it is so nice to just have this at the ready. Pick it up, and here, I'll play it for you so you can hear how quiet it is. Come on. That is not bad. Yeah, no, right, I'm talking over that. That's not bad at all. It's got its own lights. I love the DeWalt one. There's probably one for your battery system. Yeah. Dude, cordless routers. I think last year I covered the cordless heat gun, which sucks a little bit, but its suckage is exactly what makes it great, because there's so many opportunities where I don't want too much heat. Here, the router is sort of the same version of that. This is not, it's not your all-purpose router. It is your in the clutch in a small space doing a thing router, and I'm like really happy to have this on my cordless rack. I also, in looking for tools, sometimes just text my friends who work in the special effects industry, because the special effects industry is a fantastic crucible for tool and material usage. And recently, from a friend at Legacy Effects, I learned about methacrylate glue. I bought a version of it that was highly expensive. I talked about it a little bit on the channel. Some people recommended some cheaper versions. This is one, Infinity Bond. MMA 310B clear. This is a methacrylate glue, a plastic methacrylate glue. I have a difficulty here in the cave, and I've talked about it before, which is it's hard for me to store glue. It's hard for me to store a lot of expendables that have a shelf life because I need the things I need maybe once every few years. So at one point, I bought a whole bunch of this kind of glue system. Oh, right. What is this kind of glue system? Well, this is the way I like to use the methacrylate glue. It comes in a epoxy 2-part mixing container that you clamp into a gun here, and don't get overcharged for these. You can buy these for like $20 on Amazon. And then you put this mixer in the front, and it's got this little spiral that mixes the 2-part epoxy together so it comes out of the tip ready to lay down. I did much of the assembly of me in carbonite using this stuff, and it was spectacular because it also has a very short pot life. That means it sets really quickly, like within half an hour. It's hard to overstate what methacrylate glue has brought to my process. It's exactly what I want out of epoxy. It's a little more robust, it's a little more flexible, and it sets in just like a heartbeat. Yeah, thanks to my friends at Legacy Effects for telling me about methacrylate glue. So how do I store these if I have them? Look, I don't buy more than, I don't think I buy more than 6 or 8 at a time. Honestly, on the me and carbonite, I went through 4. And that's expensive because on the name brand, it's like $20 a pop. On Amazon, they're a lot cheaper. And I really like not mixing my epoxy. I like not taking out that popsicle stick and doing the thing I've been doing since the 70s. I really like that all the work happens before it comes out of the business end of this thing. All right. The next thing I wanted to cover is an expendable. And it's an expendable I learned about from you guys because I was complaining about my Q-tips, and I was complaining about my extended swab Q-tips because the robust ones are often sterile, which means they're expensive, and I don't want to peel paper for every single extended Q-tip I have. And I was complaining about how cheap and crappy the wood of most cotton-tipped applicators, right? Not Q-tips, cotton-tipped applicators. They're usually made of the cheapest wood imaginable that you can break it with your fingers. But you guys in the comments told me about bamboo cotton-tipped applicators, and they have changed my life. This is really spectacular. You can get really, really, really robust with these, and they don't snap. Yeah. I immediately bought 1,000, and I'm already about a quarter of the way through them in 6 or 8 months. Bamboo cotton-tipped applicators. Yes, you heard it here first. Or actually, I heard it here first. I know that I've covered these on the channel before. I want to tell you, if you do any electrical wiring, Raspberry Pi stuff with any regularity, I just want to exhort you to invest in a pair of automatic wire strippers. These are the Knipex. This is model number 1242-195, and they're not inexpensive. They're $95. I know. But sometimes there are tools that if no one tells you about them, you won't realize how much of your life can be saved using these tools. I will admit to you that Mr. Jamie Heineman didn't know about these when we first started making Mythbusters. And we were talking about stripping off the ends of like 600 wires. And Jamie was like, that's going to take hours. And I'm like, it's going to take minutes. And he's like, prove it. And I broke out one of these and converted him on the spot. The reason I like the Knipex, you can buy these much cheaper. The reason I like these have lasted longer than any other pair I have. And they're really spectacular for the high gauge, like 26, 28 gauge wire. They're really fine and thin stuff. Your cheaper automatic wire strippers will tend to mangle super fine wire, where these Knipex ones do not. Yeah, I've been using these for about 3 years now, and I love them. Okay. Staying within the electronics frame, this is the year that I added wire nuts, lever nuts, yes, lever nuts. Now, these are little mechanical ways of connecting wires together. The name brand is Wago. These are the really good ones. And they are basically like, it's got a port and a lever, and you lift up the lever, stick a wire in the port, put down the lever, it's holding onto it, and it's rated. It's rated, which means you're getting the full connection all the way through. I have stopped, for the most part, using twist lugs because these are so much more versatile. The other thing, and specifically around these lever nuts and the automatic wire strippers, is they allow you to connect things without having to have a lot of headroom. I've had constructions where I was trying to use a wire nut to twist two wires together, but I was inside a tiny space where this amount of movement was like, I couldn't even fit my hands in there. Lever nuts are like this spectacular, like doink, doink, and it's connected. Plus, this one connects two wires together. So does this one, this way, this way. This one connects 5 wires together. It's like a bus bar. And this one splits 2 wires into 2 channels of 3 wires each. I have found all of these versions to be useful in my process. And like I said, they allow you to do work in situ with greater sensitivity. The original wire stripper is like a pair of pliers with 2 holes with 2 sharpened openings that create a hole, cut into the wire, and strip the insulation off. And any one of us that have used those hand-done strippers has yanked wires out of the machine they were doing trying to strip them. That is the thing about your normal plier-based wire strippers. Why the automatics are so great, because it does all the grabbing and stripping right there. You don't have to do anything but squeeze the hand. Okay. Yes, I have been 3D printing like a madman all year long for the last couple of years. My gateway drug was the Bamboo Carbon X1. There's some more 3D printing goodness coming down the pike. Form resin printers have opened up whole new vistas for us here at Tested. But one of the key things that I had been looking for was my own favorite filament. We deal with a lot of different effects shops. And one thing I notice is that many people who are regularly iterating their stuff on 3D printers kind of have a bread and butter color. Like one of our friends at FBFX does all their radio electronics. Everything is a very specific orange color. All the stuff he 3D prints to house his electronics are all this orange color. And I noted that and I was thinking, yeah, I want that color. Well, I found it this year. And I covered that color when I was talking about the St. Edward's crown. This is a Matter Hackers 3D Printing Filament Pro Series PLA. Clay red is the color. And it's the first. My issue with 3D printing until recently, and by recently I mean like 3 or 4 years ago, was that every time I saw one, it was a 3D print first and the object it was representing second. Like all those layer lines, all the sort of not quite resolved tiny details. Those things typified 3D prints 5 years ago. And over this recent time, 3D printers have gotten so nice that, you know, when I first learned about the Bamboo Carbon, it's because Norm handed me a print and I was like, what made this? It's got this great texture to it. It's really well finished. And speaking of finish, one of the things I've been doing, as well as choosing my favorite color and printing all my personal stuff in that color, is I've been printing everything at 100% infill when I can. Not you know, test fits and stuff, but anything that's going to be final, I print at 100% infill because I really, it feels like an object. More than that, I can drill into it, I can tap into it, and it will hold the stuff I want to do with it. Those are the 2 sea changes this year: finding my color and printing everything 100% infill, so it is solid plastic. Now we have two more things to cover: one tiny, one giant. And because we're close to the end, I'm going to tell you, there will be a separate end of the year favorite things video from me about my favorite media and other stuff that went on this year. This is just tools. But one of my favorite new YouTube channels is Cronova Engineering. And through them, I learned about brass lined pliers. And I bought these from Micromark. And pliers are amazing, but pliers are frequently put on earth to mangle the thing you're trying to hold onto. And soft-jawed pliers are a great way of mangling the jaws of your pliers while you're trying to hold on to a thing. I love these brass-lined pliers because it allows me a nice tight hold on stuff, but it won't dent or mark the steel. Yeah, it can mark aluminum, it's true. But as soon as I saw that there was a really nice pair of these, I added them to my kit. I really don't think you can have too many ways to grab and hold on to a piece of work. And having soft jaws to do it is completely clutch. The penultimate thing I wanted to talk about, and we're going to cover this with B-roll because I can't have it behind me, it's way over there in the cave, are my fireproof paint cabinets from Just Right. And the two Just Right cabinets have radically changed my expendables and my access to spray paints and glues and solvents and the other chemicals I regularly use in the cave. They are now stored safely and correctly in the Just Right cabinets. And I'm just so ecstatic about it. And the biggest favorite tool this year is the very room we're taping this in. This, which used to be the hangout section of my cave with all of my collection around me in Billy bookcases, is now just more of my shop. And frankly, I cannot overstate how much that has done for my process. I was complaining for about 2+ years before last December of 2023 when we finally did this switchover, and having lived with it now for a year, and I'm still not quite finished with the final orientation. There's still some room to move and muck with how things are arranged. But it has given me so much breathing room. More than that, my partner, my wife, Mrs. Don't Try This, has gotten into some versions of making some pottery, some woodworking, and she has been coming to the cave. And frankly, that would have never worked last year when I only had the 400 square feet of my basic assembly shop over there. That was only made possible by having enough breathing room of this space in order to execute that. It also made possible doing things like painting the dinosaur. I know we might not have put that video up yet as I'm recording this, but painting the dinosaur was something that until we had this space, I was literally thinking about having to rent a space for a week in order to do that paint job. I was so psyched when I realized that we now had enough room to paint it in situ here in the cave. I would love to hear about some of your favorite tools, or if you have favorite versions of some of the stuff I've covered, let us know in the comments. Like I said, I love nothing more than an excuse to buy a new or better or different tool that expands the possibilities that I can achieve here in the cave. Thank you guys so much for joining me this year. Thanks for joining me for this video, and I will see you next time. Thank you guys so much for watching, and while usually I use this space to tell you about new merch, I'd like to tell you about some classic merch, specifically my favorite thing we have ever produced, which is the Adam Savage Shop apron. I love it when people bring these to me to sign at my cons, but if you can't get to one of our cons, that's fine. You don't have to wait because we are selling both signed and unsigned versions of these aprons at adamsavage.com. Get yours today and start wearing it in.